Let me continue on with darker news. Yeah, bad news. So, last week, I believe it is, we covered Matt Bevin's rehoming his black child like an unwanted fucking pet. He basically bought kids. Matt Bevin is the former governor of Kentucky. He's a New England Yankee fuck, carpetbagging piece of shit. No one liked him in Louisville that I've ever seen. Even his supporters were like, you know, what? Who else are we gonna fucking vote for? And in a state with a Republican supermajority, he lost as an incumbent to a Democrat. Now, that Democrat is Andy Beshear, who is part of a very long-lived political dynasty in Kentucky, but Andy Beshear is an A-OK dude. If we would have had Bevin instead of Beshear getting elected almost exactly a few months before the outbreak of COVID, things would have been a lot different. So thank fucking God Bevin lost, and we got Andy Beshear instead. Now, Matt Bevin, after he won his election, and especially after he lost his re-election, he had these black kids that were around, and people were like, what the fuck? Why do you have 9 children, and why are 4 of them black kids? And, you know, he bought them all from Ethiopia. And I say bought because he treats them like property. Maybe they were part of the family in his mind, but I've grown up around a lot of families. I have family members. I got cousins that have interracial families. None of them treat any of their kids, white people that I have, that treat any of their black kids like this. That's not something that you do when you adopt a child. I've never known anyone that adopted 4 children at once. That's a massive... There's a thing called money, which is okay, and you need that desperately to raise children. But more importantly, there's a thing called time. Time is what you need more, and there is absolutely a limitation on how much time you can spend on kids. My grandmother had 9 kids. She's a Catholic lady. And all of her youngest kids are pissed about it. Let me put it this, I'll put it, my Meemaw was a good woman. She was a good woman, a strong woman. She did her fucking goddamnedest. She lived a rough ass life. White woman on the west side of Cincinnati. It was what it was. Okay. There's worse. There's better. Let me tell you, Meemaw is Meemaw. All right. She badass bitch. I love that woman. She passed a while back. She had 9 kids. She had her first kids. Who ended up going to college and shit. My oldest aunt and uncles, she started doing baby books, and she had baby books. This is a real story from my family. Her earliest kids had baby books that were finished to the fucking last page. Last page. And it's a little like this. Boom, teeth in little, like you lost your first tooth, your first hair from your haircut, pieces of shit from your graduation and stuff. And then they joked about this because she gave them all of them, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 years before she died, and they were like, what is going on here? So because all my oldest uncles and aunts, which is not my dad's like a middle kid, they got their shit and it's full. And then as you get to like kid 3, it's doesn't quite make it to the end book. Then you get to kid like my dad, like in the middle, and it's like, okay, well, it looks like you're running a little thin on time, Meemaw. And then you get to the last kids and they're empty, raw empty. And then my youngest uncle, his book just has his name and the day he was born written in it. And they got him in order. So like, if you're one of these kids, you're watching your oldest siblings open this shit, and like it looks like a fucking tome. It's got all kinds of shit falling out of it. Oh wow, this is that moment. Oh my God, I looked like that. Oh wow, blah, blah, blah. Baby memories. This is crazy. And it gets lower and lower. All the youngest kids who are already they're old, they're grown men and women with families of their own, right? Some of them are grandparents by this point, and they're looking at each other like this. And they know when they get theirs, they're like, yep, there we go. Like, literally looking down the line to the younger ones, like, it doesn't look good for you. They didn't make it they didn't make it to age 4 for me. How are you feeling? He's like, Dan, my fucking youngest uncle gets his. He goes, that bitch just put my fucking name in the book. And all the bellmen are taller, right? And he goes, that fucking bitch. I'm talking about my grandma, but he's pissed. He is furious. because he just had to eat this his whole life. And then this is like a memorialization of how forgotten of a child he was. He takes it and puts the book all the way up on top of the tippity tip top of some shit on the mantelpiece, hanging off a little bit where she can see it, and it'll bug her the fuck because he's like, I'm not taking it home. People are like, it's a good memory, man. It's about the thought that counts. You go, never mind a fucking thought. What'd you think about my name and the day I was born? I know that. So my fucking driver's license has more information. My driver's license has my fucking picture in it at least. Fucking goddamn, bro. All that is to say, my grandma was the best woman she could be. She really did give a fuck. That just pissed him off because it was that moment and stuff, and that's like deep family shit. But you can't have enough time for that many kids. You can't. Cats in a cradle and a silver spoon. Little boy, go to the man on the moon. All the same day. Never had enough time for my son. I should have played catch with you when you were like 8. Like, I don't fucking know. What are you talking about? You can't have that much. You cannot have enough time for that many kids. Like, my parents barely had enough time for 3 kids spaced well the fuck apart. 4 kids is crazy. 5 is nuts. 9 is insanity, and getting the last 4 adopted from a different fucking country while you're still raising the first 5 that actually came up out your balls is nuts. You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy. And after everybody that's a specialist told you, don't adopt anybody, you don't have time. You might have the money, but you don't have time for these kids. They're going to have they're fucking children. And I don't care how any child behaves. I don't care about the worst, most misbehaving ass kid in the fucking world. You have to raise that kid. You're not a dad. You don't know. Bro, I'm from a Catholic family. I don't have to be a dad to know what it's like to raise kids. Understand that. First off, a lot of y'all are dads and you don't know what it's like to raise kids. So suck a whole fucking cock before you open your mouth to me. I probably change more diapers than a lot of these fucking internet fathers out there. Just on my fucking like little siblings and shit. Know your fucking position in the goddamn conversation. You got to have time for kids. You got to have, and you'll never have enough for 1. You'll never have enough for 2. But like when you push it, you're beyond like, people will tell you, why? Are you not happy with your family? What do you think you do? Just give money to people to help them to have time to do this shit. You got to teach this motherfucker how to speak English, bro. Why don't you adopt an American black kid? Well, they won't let me. They said I have too many kids already. Okay, well then, why the fuck are you trying to skirt the rules that are there for the kids? It's not about you. This is where Matt Bevin was. He bought him some kids. He's like, well, y'all won't let me have it in America. I'm going to go across the ocean and buy mine from Africa. Like my grandparents. I mean, if y'all won't let me buy blacks here, I'll go to Africa and do it the old-fashioned way. It's like, really, I don't know how to say it in a nicer way. You could have just given more money to public schools. He's a charter school guy, by the way, too. And fixed a lot of issues that are here with your millions, but instead you got like 4 additional kids and ignored them. I've never heard this kid talk. This is from the Courier-Journal, which is the official newspaper of Louisville. It's the Louisville Courier-Journal. Shout out Josh. He works there. This is written by Lucas Allback. Do I know? No, I've never met that guy. But this is his kid finally talking about the experience, which is the main reason I wanted to bring this up. Now, in the interim, if you should go back and check the previous stories. All of this stuff is based on Kentucky Lantern and Courier-Journal reporting. I am not doing any of the original reporting on this. I'm bringing it to you so that you hear about it. Please spread the word because this shit is fucked up. When Paris Hilton is the absolute unquestionable hero in this story, yes, please go check the previous installments. You know that you are in a bad fucking place, all right? And Paris Hilton is the fucking hero of this story without reservation in any way, shape, or form. And so today we're going to be hearing from the kid talking. He is now 18 years old. He was living in Utah, basically homeless, taking care of your kids, right? Homeless from a different country. I guess he's been naturalized to a degree as an adopted kid, but I mean, still, like, I'm from Cincinnati. I was born and raised in Cincinnati. I got family all through there. I know the streets. I know the locations. I know where I can and can't go. Do you understand that? Like when you raise somewhere, you actually know about it. If I go back to Cincinnati, even though I've been not living there full time for like 10 years, I can still reintegrate instantaneously. It's my fucking hometown. I know what Skyline Chili is. I know how to get a fucking job. I know where to work. I know what the good, bad construction companies are. You know what I mean? I know the good part of town, bad part of town. Oh, that's a Lowe's. This, okay, that's that kind of guy. I know to avoid. If I lived in Green Township and I was not a white person, I'd be okay, avoid Green Township police officers. If you need help, make sure the sheriff's office comes before you talk to anybody. All right. Never talk to the white shirt mafia. If you see CPD, walk away. Okay. CPD gave me a jaywalking ticket. I got to tell you guys about that sometime. But like, that's the fucking case. Okay. If you get taken out of that and then you get put somewhere else, it's not the same that you would experience if you lost everything and your parents kicked you out. So no matter what, they put this kid in a fucked position. I don't know what kind of shit he might have gone through if he had lived in Ethiopia. He'll never know. We'll never know. You made the decision to take him out of that, and then you dropped him into fucking homelessness after sending him to a fucking camp. Series of camps, the last one which was in Jamaica, and he got beat. Somebody pointed out to me that the one white kid that's in the fucking pictures for the places advertising it has sores all over his feet and legs up to his mid-shin that are like this fucking big. They're like, what the fuck? Like, and if someone said that it looks like he's been getting his feet caned, and they said that was happening, I don't know what feet caning is. Some fucking slave era shit. I've heard that's like Kendrick Lamar lyrics. I've been fucking whipped with a belt. I've gone and got my switch. Usually I had to go get the belt. But I know I ain't never got my feet whipped. That's some shit that's like a livestock punishment. You don't do that to people because you can't be hurting people's feet because then they can't walk. That's kind of the point. That's why you whip people on their back. It's not because it's like the least painful part to get hurt. It's so that every time they do something, the wounds reopen and it hurts. It's the worst place to get whipped. Other than your ass. It hurts. You whip people on their fucking leg and they'd be fine. And it would hurt just as bad. You whip them on their back. So every time they twist, move, sit down, they're uncomfortable. It's a torture. That's why you whip people. It's torture for months, if not years. The scars tighten and make your back fuck up. They fuck up your back because the scars are thicker. Because the meat and the muscle and the tissue that get fucking bound, they want to crunch up. Them scars have to be like massaged and moisturized because they pool and they'll fuck your posture up and fuck up your back and stuff. So you be 80 years old, like, you can feel thick scar like that pops when you move. That's why you whip people on the back. It's to fuck them up as bad as possible without killing them. And sometimes it does because it's open wounds on your fucking back. It's bad shit. Whipping someone on the feet is crazy. I've never heard of that in my life. Maybe in like a child abuse situation that I wrote about that I just pushed right out of my fucking head. But that's nuts. That sounds like some fucking, you got a shocked white people watching Roots Week. Oh my God, today. What is this? What is this? What is happening? Like, I've never heard that. So apparently that shit happened in Jamaica. They put that kid through this shit and then let him be homeless in fucking SLC. It's nuts. They fucking sent him to the whitest place in America. Like, go to Utah. What? What the fuck are you talking about? Send him to North Dakota where it's nice and cold. It's wonderful to be homeless in North Dakota. Jesus fucking Christ. But this kid got contacted by Matt Bevin finally after all this. And Matt Bevin was just like, hey, I know a fucking shady guy in Ethiopia. You just want to go back to Ethiopia? Your mom's alive. She's been alive the whole time. We lied to you at best. And at worst, and I think this is the case, Matt Bevin's trying to Shanghai him to get him out of being talked about and literally probably just sell him into slavery. Because you can do that, by the way. Slavery's not gone. African people still get sold into slavery. They switched the dial from across straight to America to click up to Saudi Arabia. And so I think it actually is Nigeria, Ethiopia, Burkina Faso, and like Liberia, maybe? No, fuck it. I'm going to fuck all this up. There's a chunk all right there. There's a massive slave trade. Like, and it's slavery. They just take you to Qatar, they take you to Saudi Arabia, and then you're a slave to Muslim people instead of Christian people. And it's raw slavery. It's colorism. It's slavery. They beat you. They take away your passport. They make you work in the desert with like next to no water. They don't pay you shit. I don't know what the fuck else. America set the fucking bar so high for like the horrors of slavery that now people are like, no, man, it's not slavery because I don't have them literally picking cotton and whistling and shit, walking around in like a burlap sack with fucking suspenders on it. Like, no, that we set the standard too high. We approached a level of evil that like surpassed the devil's greatest expectations of us. Trust me, like slavery has actually got a way lower bar. The threshold is actually almost non-existent. It's just forcing people against their will to work for free, or really kind of at all. That's what slavery is. We just added eugenics to it and pointless torture for the joy of sociopaths, and also sometimes eating the slaves and cutting off pieces of them to make furniture with. Like, what? Like, yeah, so if you hear someone say slavery and you go, it's not like America, it probably is. It's probably slavery. We just started eating the slaves, and we weren't hungry. We just wanted to eat them. And we started cutting their hair off and making seats out of it, and sometimes their skin. And yeah, it was worse than it's actually ever been, even in parts of the Bible. We actually outdid the Egyptians in the Bible, like that the Jews are like 10 plagues. Yeah, we went further than anyone. So don't compare it to us, because we'll have outdone it. We actually would have been worse, but we were distracted by literally eradicating from sea to sea an entire culture of millions of different Native American peoples. We just call all of them the same word now for them now, and we annihilated like, oh God, I think it's like 600 languages, and we wiped their cities from the earth to the point where people think that they all live in these tents, and they didn't. No. Yeah, cities, palisade walls, whole buildings, like everybody else. Bricks. We burned them and gave them. We made them sick, and then we slaughtered all of them, and then pushed them to Oregon, and then Yeah. So no, it's probably slavery. Trust me. Don't look at us. Don't look at us. It was. It probably was. Yeah. We're not. Hitler couldn't quite get it right compared to what we did. You understand that? He couldn't quite achieve what we did raw, just with natural inclination towards how to deal with the world. He tried to outdo us and still fell short. He based it on us, but didn't get that high. It was bad. Yeah. Saudi Arabia, our second greatest ally. Yes. The finger cutters. Yeah. I forgot about the furniture and cannibalism and furniture shit. Yeah. We Ed Geined people pretty casually all the time. All those, you know where they got all the phrenology skulls from, right? If you needed a new one, you could always make one. Anyway, Matt Bevin continued the tradition, right? A true American, with Matt Bevin court hearing looming, adopted son Jonah pushes for accountability, which really needs to happen. I should push this stuff. Doesn't have to be mine. Don't care if it's mine. Literally, don't even put my name on it. Share this story other places so that other people will cover it, because it's actually fucking insane. It's actually like psychotically crazy, but people don't want to hear about this shit. Especially if they look like me, because it's like, oh, what a downer. Also, that sounds ridiculous. It is not, and it happens all the time. If you want to add the little bit of pepper, the little bit of spice, you say like, there were white kids in the Jamaican camp. They go, oh, wow, now we're interested. You can do that too if you have to. Just get people talking about this stuff, because it's true. Like, it's fucking insane. But this is Jonah Bevin. I've never heard him speak before. I don't think I ever heard the kids speak in any of the press conferences I saw. Maybe they said like a hi, but there's 8 other kids. So this is him, adopted son of Matt and Glenna Bevin.
Like, a lot of the kids don't feel like they're human, like, you know what I mean? Because they don't get treated like humans. They have to be watched while taking a shower. They have strict schedules. Like, they can't get up without, like, they can't get out of their seats without asking somebody.
I'm gonna restart this. He's talking about, I think, the Jamaica place.
I know you have no sense of like being a human. Like, a lot of the kids don't feel like they're human, like, you know what I mean? Because they don't get treated like humans. They have to be watched while taking a shower. they have strict schedules. Like they can't get up without like, they can't get out of their seats without asking somebody. They have like no freedom, right? When I went there, I was told it's gonna be like amazing. It's gonna be fun. They tell you that about like every program you go to, by the way. So like, it's better than your last one. It's gonna be way better. You have more freedom, blah blah blah. And I was like, all right. I mean, it's gonna be a different country, so it couldn't be that bad. So I went. I like saw the building, like actually saw it, and it was not like the pictures. It was small. I mean, when I walked in there, like the first thing I looked at was the kids, and they all looked depressed. They're like, hi, it's the new kid, blah blah blah. Just looked at me. They're like, Amir looked at me. He's like, this program's bad, bro. Like that's what he told me. Like he came up to me and he's like, dude, this place sucks. I was like, why are you telling me this? Is like my first day there. But yeah, I mean, it just got worse from there. Just abuse. Staff were, there's a lot of just beatings. I don't know how to explain it. I don't really want to go. I just want justice to be served, honestly.
That's like PTSD avoidance behavior. You guys see me do that? When I start talking about some like fucking military body flinch, you guys need to keep an eye out for. People are like, oh, sometimes you're like, oh, they're being a little bit, this person's being cagey. They don't want to talk about something. If you don't know about like fucked up people or people that have been through some fucked up shit, if you've never seen a PTSD flinch, it won't register. But you can see it because it starts inside your head. It's a flinch away from you, your own self. It gets all through your body. Like I can replicate it instantly because I felt it. PTSD avoidance behavior. People will seem normal. You need to understand this. I know because so much of the internet is like right now seems to be full, especially in like commentary type circles, of like autistic people that have like facial recognition issues filling up comment sections of people and being like, well, it seems reasonable to me that my face cards are not immediately jiving with this unfathomably complex series of emotions that will play out on somebody in unique ways every time. Like if you don't have the ability to see into the fucking storm that is the average person's fucking memory of their past, particularly if it was a nasty past, it might not be for you to comment on that sort of thing. If you don't recognize it, you got to say like, if you don't recognize a lot of people's emotions and how like their past play out, if you don't have like some years on you, you might not see this shit. That twitch, that's a PTSD flinch, man. Go to a fucking survivors anything meeting and you'll see people do that. You can't fake it. Maybe you can. People can fake anything, but like when you see it, it's like, I feel like I got to explain it because I also just want people to know, like, if you have PTSD or you got fucked up and you don't want to think about that shit and you do, and you have that full body, like it hits you, you know, like brain freeze that comes from like the base of your spine. It tries to push out through your fucking eyes, like hot. You gotta, your whole body. Like, it's okay to feel like that, even if you're like some sort of like hyper masculine dude, or you're somebody that's like, I don't want to show that I get hurt or have been hurt in front of my kids or my family or my friends or my wife or my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever the fuck it is you have. Understand it's fine. You got to let that shit out. You start holding on to those fucking avoidance spasms, that goddamn PTSD flinch. You start pushing that shit down, you will begin drinking. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's the path to being permanent sad boy territory. So you're going to have to work through it at your own rate. There's no perfect way to deal with it. If you're on the outside looking in and you never like really experienced trauma or seen it like from the level of like a counselor or, you know, in a mirror, you might not recognize that. You know, someone's like, seems normal, like, hey, yeah, you know, like, people don't want to be hurt. Ever. People don't want to be hurt. They don't want to show they're hurt. They don't want to show that they're limping, right? They hide it. And so people will talk about stuff the same way I do. You know, I'm not Matt Damon trying to win an award for my story about being in Operation Iraqi Freedom. I'm not an actor playing me. I'm me. And I don't want people to think of me for the rest of my life as some sort of fucking victim. And that's the case with a lot of people who really are victims of something. And, you know, I'm not a victim, but, you know, a sufferer of PTSD, a person that has to deal with that fucking shit. It's a pain in the ass. And if you're out there and you're one of those people, it happens. And if you're around one of those people and you see them kind of coming back and forth, that's what that is. That's what a lot of people who are pieces of shit will like point at somebody who was a victim of trauma or something. Be like, look, you know, they're talking about it, they're laughing, they're choking, they're chuckling, they're joking and shit. I'm like, yeah, man, because they don't want to feel like a victim. Nobody does. Nobody wants to walk around through life mopey and fucking broken. And if you do, that's its own sort of fucking sickness that has to be dealt with as well. So understand, that's what that looks like. There's never going to be somebody that's going to get on there and perfectly portray an emotion for you the way that an actor would, because actors take off all that human shit. You're seeing the animal raw, right? Real. Actors provide you a trimmed down, butchered up product. They get you the filet. The human version of it is the whole operating leg. It's not what it is when you finally get to eat it. If you've learned about life from movies, you're never going to quite click with human emotion. I think that's why we have so many autistic people these days that I don't think are autistic. I think they have emotional pattern recognition behavior, because people watch too many fucking movies, and movie people don't act like real people. Real people act like real people. And if you start thinking of movie people as real people, you won't see sad when sad happens. You won't recognize sad. You won't recognize guilt. You won't recognize pain, because you're only seeing somebody's stripped down, perfect for the screen moment. I know how to look at this light specifically to catch this tear as it falls down my cheek. Pain. But pain looks like this. Like, hey, man. You know, you see somebody's eyes drift off you for a second is really what it is. It's not the face. It's that drift in their eyes. It's the moment where you see someone hold on to the conversation for another 20 seconds after the part that hurts them, so that you can't tell that part hurts them, and then they drift away because that was so exhausting. If you haven't had a conversation with someone and you saw yourself hurt them by reminding them, you won't really be able to pick these things apart. Understand, you don't have that. That's not for you. So don't opine on it. It's not for you to talk about because you're not there yet. Be happy you don't have an opinion on it, because it means you've never had to deal with victims. You've never had to deal with yourself as a victim, hopefully. And that's a good thing. It's better to be that way. But if you ever see someone, you're like, I don't know, I don't feel it. Like, what would you know? Do you know what I mean? Do you know about the actual 1,000-yard stare? Do you know what it's like to try to like talk to somebody like they're in a fucking well while you're looking at them? You can see them looking at you, but you can't talk to them past the water that's in them. Like, you gotta fucking shake them out, and they while they're looking at you. You ever had one of those? Have that? Someone actually goes full delusion. They start fucking having a flashback while you're snap out of it. You ever had to snap someone out of it? That's dark. That's a deep well. It's a pool beyond the ken of most people. And it's a good thing that you don't get there. But understand, a lot of people on the internet talk about people that have gone through shit like this, and they can't see it because it's not there. They live soft lives. And sometimes not even just soft, distant from humanity lives. Your knowledge of love and pain and guilt and perseverance comes from, even worse, anime. Drawings of faces, drawings of people's bodies, and that can be conveyed into it, but it can't be pulled out of it the same way that the human mind exists in a human body, and everybody's different and all that stuff too. But understand, it is a deep well. Pain and torment and guilt and post-traumatic stress disorder is a fucking monster that will change the composition of your literal brain. It will alter how chemicals are processed. It can damage your glands in your fucking head because they get overdoped and this and that and all sorts of shit. And then there's also knock-on effects of you got PTSD and you got hit in the head in the wrong spot one time. Whoopsie-doodle. Now those are two interconnected, permanent chunks of uniqueness to how damaged you are. Whoopsie-doodle. Shouldn't have fucking lived a life. That's kind of it. So understand, if you're ever watching something this, don't feel comfortable in one of my comment sections ever expressing that you don't feel like somebody's being honest or like straightforward with their emotions if you don't have a fucking strong reason why. Very powerful. But I just don't quite get it. It doesn't cut it for me in the modern era. It really doesn't. If the most emotional you've ever seen somebody be, the worst, the most low you've ever seen someone be is what's his name? Leonardo DiCaprio in some movie, whatever the one it is he won the award for, where he eats the bear or something. Like, bro, he's an actor. He's pretending. That's surface level. As good as that seems, I've seen worse. I've seen guys like lose themselves mid-conversation. I've seen dudes break down crying while they're walking on a random day and not realize that they had like tears coming off their face. Like, bro, what the fuck? Did I look like a right now? You're like saying a story. Like, no, yeah, you're fine, bro. Not care about it, Have that shit happen to me. And it's not all like easy to gauge shit like fucking, oh, well, he's drinking a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen this, but Eddie Norton played a veteran once and he crushed a beer can up and threw it at a wall. Like, yeah, I've seen that. That's not the dark parts, man. That's not the dark parts. The dark parts is somebody telling you a story and it just ends. And there's this quiet. And you don't break it because, like, that they need the quiet. And then you start talking again like 2 or 3 minutes and then, like, it just goes back. It's complex and long and it's not sexy or interesting or entertaining or desirable to experience. It doesn't benefit you. It's poison. It's the pain we give each other and the poisonous fruit that grows from it. So just, I really have to hammer that home. I know I'm going off on a tangent, but like, I have a lot of respect for that shit actually. But we still like to bands a bit. So if you're looking at this kid and you're like, well, he was just having a good time. And then he's like, I don't want to talk about that for like, right. Can I just stop? That's a kid that's too young to feel that way, feeling that way. I just want you to put and the person who was his guardian put him in that position, which is to me unforgivable. That's why this story is going the way it goes.
Want them to get a consequence out of it because they deserve it.
Do we need a border? Oh,
we're
too late now, but sorry.
Show up to court 4 times while I was in Jamaica. They didn't do either of those things. And it's not showing that you love a child. It's just showing that you do not care even more. That you didn't, like, as soon as, if I was a parent and I heard that, I would fly down there immediately, you know what I mean? It would be top priority. I wouldn't be worrying about anything else except flying there. But they didn't do that. They didn't do those things. They didn't have any good intentions of sending me to that program, so they do deserve some sort of consequence, Yeah, I want accountability just to be done. That's that's the top thing. And if money comes, yeah, I want the money to help other people like me. Like in this situation, there's other kids that their voices need to be heard and their voices are not being heard. So the best way I could help is by using my light and covering them in my story too.
Based. All right. Oop. What? Oh, that's a Gannett thing. Okay, no, we're fine. We're still on the same story. Let me make sure this is turned to a normal volume level real quick. Yeah, that's a hard shit to hear. I mean, I put the segment contact warning up and stuff, but it's a bit late. I don't know. I'm going to go through this again. Jonah Bevin turned 18 last fall at a homeless shelter, has lived life on the road. Over the weekend, he was in Louisville, where he spent part of his life filing an emergency protective order against his adopted father, Matt Bevin, the former governor of Kentucky, who made reforming the state's foster care system a pillar of his campaign 10 years ago. Before then, it was Utah, and to stop in Florida after the Youth Leadership Academy, where he'd been sent in Jamaica, was raided by law enforcement on allegations the kids in his custody had been abused and left in inhumane conditions. And just last month, he said he nearly boarded a flight to Africa, paid for by his adopted family, to see his biological mother, before backing out at the last minute over concerns about who would actually be there when the plane landed. Born in Ethiopia in 2007 and adopted by Bevin and his wife Glenna in 2012 when he was 5, Jonah was first sent away from his adopted family's Anchorage home to a residential center for troubled teens 5 years ago in Missouri. I mean, 13. Troubled teen as in this second he turned into a teenager, right? Insanity. Tyler, stay focused. After a whirlwind half-decade, he's been out and on his own and seeking accountability for his story and a spotlight on kids who have their own stories to tell. I just want justice to be served, honestly, Jonah said Sunday inside his Louisville hotel room. There's other kids whose voices need to be heard, and their voices are not being heard. Matt and Glenna Bevin are in the midst of a divorce. Attorneys representing the parent in the case did not respond to requests for comment. From Jamaica. Part of Jonah's story has been told before going public last month in a story with the Kentucky Lantern, and in an interview this week with the Courier Journal. Kentucky readers knew him as Noah, the pseudonym given to him by a London-based reporter last summer who investigated, that's kind of Jonah and Noah, barbaric conditions at Jamaica's Atlantis Leadership Academy. He's only there for a few months, arrives in December 23rd, 2023. This is all the background stuff. Totally going to be amazing. Recover that. U.S. man. 6 months. Okay. Most of this is recovering from, most of this is repeating what we've already covered in the last story, so I won't go into it because I've got other stuff to get to. Today, I believe, I'm probably going to go a little bit late. He's an adult now, and he wants to help kids in similar situations. Shouted in adulthood. So, these are these kids. When they were doing all these things, they had all these kids together, kind of hanging out. Then, candidate Matt Bevin brought his children to the polling station of Louisville Seminary during his Senate run, May 2014. The Louisville Seminary is a gigantic seminary school in Louisville, right off of I-64, in one of the richest neighborhoods. I think that actually might be in the vicinity of Anchorage. I know it's God damn it, help me. Anyone that's from Louisville is yelling at me right now. Where the bikes shit is, it's St. Matthews. So that's like on the way to St. Matthews. It's in the middle of the big ass park that we have in Louisville and stuff. And it's a straight shot from downtown. It's one of the like biggest corridors for rich fucks in the entire city. So if they're voting near the cemetery or the seminary, I guess maybe Anchorage is where the bigger houses go. Cause I've never taken much of a left off there. Then you start getting towards like where the big Halloween places, and never mind. I know. It's between that and Zorn. Then you finally get to where the VA was, which is the main reason I know how that stuff is. It's the main VA hospital is off Zorn Avenue. You have to go through St. Matthews and then through all these big ass houses down past the train tracks and shit, and then Zorn Avenue's down there. From where I lived in Germantown. First of 4 Ethiopian children adopted by the Bevins in 2012, with 5 biological kids in all. The businessman 2 years away from entering politics with a failed primary run against U.S. Senator Mitch McConnell, and 3 years away from his win over Democrat Jack Conway in the 2015 gubernatorial race. I don't even remember Jack Conway at all. Believes he was adopted mostly for public reasons, Jonah says. What you can see is he adopted kids, and a few years later he joined the governor's race, Jonah said. Which is, I mean, like, if you're going to adopt 4 additional kids and you already have 5 and not all of them are like about to turn 18, do you run for governor? Like, you go to run for public office, have one of the most busy possible jobs. Like, it's clear. It's the most obvious fucking thing in the world. If you cared about the kids, you would not run for governor. You would support a governor run. Do you know, you understand that? Like, you're going to be the governor. You're the most important person, the president, essentially, of the state. And the governor in Kentucky is constantly doing shit. Smaller states, especially, the governor's even kind of more important. Maybe not as powerful as a governor like in Chicago, but they have a lot of need to be throughout the fucking state because the state's usually being ignored by everybody else. So that's kind of the thing. And usually if you're a governor, especially somewhere like Kentucky, you're going to be trying to go to the next legs. So he's saying, instead of like a normal, responsible person, hey, well, I'm going to run at 45, 55 years old when most of my kids are getting ready to graduate or have graduated, and then I've got free time, I've got extra money because they're out of the house, then I'm going to run for governor. No, I adopted 4 fucking children from another country that don't speak English, and then I dragged them to one of the most not friendly to Ethiopian places historically on Earth. I think I can easily say that. 2 years before I start running for governor is, come on, like, you have to be born yesterday to think that there's any other possible explanation. No, I just really cared about them. Well, kind of threw that one out the window just a few years after the fact, didn't you? We got older, and everywhere we went, he would take pictures of the family. We didn't have privacy. It was really for public image, and that's what I still believe. Jonah was speaking only for himself, he said. He doesn't have much contact with his adopted siblings currently. But his relationship with his adopted parents frayed as he got older. He struggled to acclimate to the U.S. and to communicate as he tried to learn English. He picked up a habit at an orphanage as a young child of hoarding food, he said, because sometimes he didn't know when he'd have his next meal. He's institutionalized. You got an institutionalized child. He's carried that with him to the U.S. and would face punishment at home, even though he didn't understand why what he did was wrong. Because he's like, He doesn't know. I don't speak English. He's 5 years old. He's been starved for 5 years of his life enough that a 5-year-old knows to hoard food because you don't know when your next fucking meal's coming. And all of a sudden, rich white people are fucking screaming at you in a different language because you collected some muffins. Which, first off, hoarding food is just fine. Like, as long as it's not getting, like, gnats and shit everywhere. And even then, you gotta, like, it's a kid, man. You can't beat children. You can't beat really anything into compliance. If you think you can, you're actually fucking wrong. I know. I always thought that when I was a kid, too. There's certain times where you do have to whip the shit out of somebody or some kid, and it's usually because they think that hitting people is okay because they've never been hurt before. It usually is up to and ends at that. You know what I mean? Did you punch a kid at school? Yes. Do you want to know what fucking being punched feels like? Is that why you hit him? I don't know. Get him in the arm once. Great. Yeah, okay. That's what you did to the other kid. You can't do that. Do you understand that you did that? Don't do that again. Pretty much about it. You don't hit that kid very fucking hard. You know what I mean? Routine beatings on children just raise resentment. And I've read some fucking things that, like, it can actually be one of the reasons some people develop sadomasochistic sexual habits that are deeply unhealthy is because of childhood beatings and associating increased blood flow to their ass and pain with love. And there's genitalia issues, obviously. If you're hitting something in the butt all the time, you're right there in the ballpark, and that can actually burn people's fucking brains and give them an idea that love is actually pain, and that if they want to express that love to other people, you hurt them that same way. Now, there's a lot of people I know that practice BDSM in safety. If you're Tyler, I need to trust me, you're not one of the ones that they know and they agree with me. The bad guys in the SM world, the actual true sadists, Desaad grade, men who hate women, a lot of that shit develops from their dark childhood relationship with having areas near their genitals violently attacked by someone who's supposed to be their caretaker and the first person that shows them love. And you're like, I don't like it when you explain that like that to me. And it's because I'm using the specific terms of what's happening. And when you do that out loud, you go, oh, I always maybe wondered why it was a slap on the wrist in public and then a slap on the ass in private. I don't know. Yeah, it actually is kind of weird that we smack kids that close to their personal areas. If you think about it, it's actually very strange. If you think about it, it's actually kind of fucking weird. And once you say it out loud, you're like, ooh, maybe we shouldn't have done that. In my opinion, I think that absolutely has to go. I think if you're going to hit a kid, it should be anybody. I mean, for 1 or 2 times in their life of corporal punishment, what is the difference between this on the back of your hand and anywhere else? Have you ever thought about that? Like, there's 2 reasons. A, you don't want to see the kid getting bruised up because maybe you fucking go off a little too hard. That's why you're hitting them under their clothes, which is a sign of trying to abuse somebody and get away with it. And 2, where did we develop that practice from? Well, everyone that I know whacked kids on the ass from Cincinnati because that's what happened to them in Catholic school. And what do we know about Catholic leadership? It's a very strange thing to be hitting people in the ass. It's a very bizarre behavior, and like you can't get too mad at people that have never been faced with how fucking strange that is. And then they develop deep psychosocial degenerate habits in their adulthood. And then you explain it to them, they're like, have you thought about it? Once you say it out loud, isn't it? Wait, why do we? Because you wouldn't do it to anyone else. You know what I mean? I think it's very strange. I don't think you should hit kids. The protective order includes allegations Glenna would slap and hit me and would disparage his biological family in Ethiopia. Oh, wonderful. Claims in the protective order filing represent just one side. The Bevins have not publicly responded to the allegations. As far as I'm concerned, then it all happened. You can either... I heard y'all fucking wanted to talk about them kids all the fucking time when you're trying to win office. One of them came out of an abuse situation. You're quiet. As far as I'm concerned, everything he's saying is true until you prove to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's lying. As far as I'm fucking concerned, I'm on the kid that came out of the torture center in Jamaica's side. I'm on the side of the black kid you bought from Africa and then abandoned in Jamaica. I'm on his side until you prove to me beyond a shadow of a doubt that he's a full-on made everything up liar. Because he's got every card stacked against him. That's the one good thing I can do in this life. Jesus Christ. What if I had no? There is no both sidesing this. What in the fuck? Jonah clashed with his adoptive father in the months that followed. He lived in a cottage on Matt's Anchorage property where he had a little mattress on the floor and heated up his meals in a microwave. What? I missed this. At 13, Jonah was sent to Master's Ranch. I'm sorry, I skipped past this paragraph. I don't think we're making it to Lynn Cheyenne today. I don't think I'm going to be. I didn't want new details in this. I didn't want new details in this story, and I did not want that to be the new detail. At age 13, Jonah was sent to Master's Ranch, which I don't care what you intended. I don't care what they're up to. I don't care about anything at all. Where did you send the black kid? Mr. Bevin? Governor? You sent him to Master's Ranch? No, it's this Christian thing. All of them were this Christian thing. We're not out of what now? I'm sorry, what? I did not I'm sorry for everyone watching this. I did not mean to stumble into that sentence that I was just literally misreading the story. I'm not ginning this up. I am, what? It's on the page. I have the fucking story up. I'm not kidding. If you're not watching this and you're far away and you're like, Tyler, why are you taking gaps? I'm gobsmacked right now. I'm shocked beyond, my heart is racing. I felt my fucking chest lurch. I went, no, that like I fucked up. Like I'd been bamboozled and I'd accidentally led you all astray by misreading something. I'm sorry. At 13, Jonah was sent to quote unquote Master's Ranch, a Christian-based therapeutic boarding school that helps troubled boys in Missouri. I don't know what to say. We did this already. We did this to black people from Ethiopia. We did this already. You sent a misbehaving teenage black kid that you got from Africa to Master's Ranch in Missouri. We did this one. This isn't new. This is playing the hits. What do you mean? What, did his dad talk back? His mom burn the biscuits? What in the fuck? What in the fuck are you talking about? You can't be called Master's Ranch in fucking Missouri and be taking any black kids in. I don't know what the fuck. You got to change the name. Just call it like Jesus's Mission 15. Call it Sacred Waters. Call it fucking anything. Call it Camp 4. Before, what in the what was the research like? Well, he's been misbehaving. Oh, here's a great place, Master's Ranch. It's in Missouri. I don't know how to react to that. How is that real? That can't be real. I fucking died. There's a gas leak and I'm having a fucking, He and another teen tried to escape one night, he said, but were greeted at gunpoint by a neighbor they'd hoped could help. He spent 2 more years at another program in Florida before returning to Kentucky around the time Glenn and Bevin filed for divorce in 2013. We already had black people do this. We had black folk. He didn't have anyone sing to him about the fucking North Star. We had this. I've seen this in films. Them boys tried to get out, and I saw them hopping the fence. I got them at shotgun point over here. We're going to send them back to you. I ain't going to be working on Master's Ranch no more. We're sending him on down in Florida way. You can sweat it out there. Is that not, have we? My education on racial issues in America is incomplete as anyone's may be. But is this not did we not, we did this. We did this. At gunpoint. At Master's Ranch, at gunpoint, brought back, sent to Florida, misbehaving black child. Don't use the S word, technically. What in the fuck are we talking? What in the fuck? I'm having a fucking meltdown. I didn't read it. I'm sorry. I should have maybe. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to keep reading. I'm going to power through it because otherwise I'm going to be shocked for 20 fucking minutes. Jonah clashed with his adopted father in the months that followed, as one should, because I feel like if you get adopted by a white guy from Ethiopia, and he sends you to Master's Ranch, you have every right on earth ever to raise at least a stink, if not get into a squabble or two. I don't know. He lived in a cottage on Matt's Anchorage property. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, yes, I'll stop. We'll stop. Where he had a little mattress on the floor and heated up his meals in a microwave. There were no boundaries, he said, adding the ex-governor would push me around and insult me and antagonize me. And, oh God, some black folk that are from that live around here know exactly what it is. Yes. So, Louisville was a slave city. Louisville was a slave city with slave catchers as an actual job before the Civil War. And Louisville had their slaves everywhere. And rich people in Louisville would have 2 extra houses behind their house. They would have a carriage house and they would have a slave house. And wealthier white folks would have nicer slave houses. And they were built well and we kept them. And so if you go to Louisville and you go to nice neighborhoods, you'll see a house with another little house behind it that people rent out now. Those are what it is. Yes, you're correct. That's what it was. That's why it was built. That is why it's there. Yes. Yeah. There's not, no, it's, yeah. That's why that's there. And it's crazy you put it to the old use. It's crazy you got him and it's crazy. That you won't when they say the little house and the big house, folks. If you don't, he put him in the little house on a tick. They put him on a tick in the little house and let him cook his own meals. They gave him a stove and some water so he could soup boil. Bro. I didn't write this. I'm turning into put fucking like lemon juice in my eyes. That, yeah. Oh fuck. Yeah, I don't know what to say. Okay. I'm just gonna keep reading. Cause I want to joke my way out of uncomfortable situations because it's how I cope with shit. It's not my situation to joke about anymore than trying to deliver shit at a timing that maybe will make you feel a little bit better about the bad okay, this is, somebody else should be reading this. But also you shouldn't have to. I am caught in a trap of some other man's making, and I hate him for it. There were no boundaries, he said, adding the ex-governor would push me around and insult and antagonize me. This is Matt Bevin. Jonah was at one point arrested as a juvenile following a physical altercation with Matt Bevin, according to the protective order. His attorney confirmed the altercation took place, but did not offer further details, and ended up in Jamaica weeks later. He's heard little from his adopted family since returning from the U.S., Jonah said, but last month, he said, he was contacted by the man who took him to Jamaica on behalf of the Bevins, who told him the family had found Jonah's biological mother and offered to fly him to Ethiopia to meet her. Jonah hasn't been to his home country since he left at 5 years old. He still believes his biological mother is alive. He backed out from the flight, he said, when he became suspicious of when he would return home and who he would meet on the plane when he landed in Africa. Jonah's attorney, Don Post, provided emails sent to Glenna, Bevin's attorney, on February 22nd and 23rd, raising questions about the intent of the flight and allegations Glenna asked her to lie to Jonah to convince him to take the trip. Damn. Additionally, she claimed Matt Bevin later told Jonah he blew his chance and that he'd delete all information about Jonah's biological family. Well, I tell you now, boy, you don't get on that boat. You ain't never going to find that woman what gave birth to you. I took you in like one of my own. I put you under my roof. And then another one when that one wouldn't suit you and you wasn't grateful. I sent you to work for some of the finest men I know and you weren't grateful. Sent you to some of the finest places in this whole goddamn earth and you weren't grateful. And I gave you one chance to go back where you came from. And you spit in my face. And I'll tell you, I have that information. You blew your chance. You ain't gonna never know that woman who gave birth to you. You gotta... If that's true, you gotta go. You can't, after all this shit. I gotta read all them fucking sad ass stories, trying to fucking figure out what the fuck's going on with my fucked up goddamn country and my cultural history and my past. And you're gonna do the same fucking thing that they did to them kids again in 2025? You gonna tell a black child separated from his mother that you done moved around America and had lived in the fucking little house on your property, that you're not going to tell him who his birth mother was? After all these years and these centuries and all the songs and the stories and the fucking movies and the books and the books and the books, burned and unburned and otherwise, we're going to fucking keep a kid's mom's identity from him. After all them time, why don't you just put him up on a big old fucking stage and show everyone how good his teeth are? What? Fuck me, man. If in fact this was not legitimate, how unbelievably cruel would that have been? Well, we got plenty. Fucking, we used to do that. I don't know. There's a good account on TikTok for a while of a guy who was trying to put together a family history of himself that include the people that were enslaved with his family and the people who enslaved them and what happened to them. I think that was the something Turner project. I don't know. If you follow my TikTok follows, he's somewhere out there. You should be able to search that down. There's a fellow that is trying to undo 250 plus years of this. Understand that. We already did that. We did this. We already separated black kids from their parents and said, well, I'm never going to tell you where you came from. We already did this in this fucking state and probably maybe even in that fucking house. We are nothing. That's beyond. There's no political. There's none of that. That's just fucked up. That's wrong. That ain't no God gonna. We ain't made up what God yet. It's gonna forgive you for that. Are you out of your fucking mind? You can't say that to a kid. Making a joke about somebody being fatherless or something has to be as funny as it fucking gets to be justified, because that shit really does fuck people up. It's a dark path to travel down. Trying to use somebody's fucking mom's identity against them and saying they missed out on it is, you gotta fucking go, dude. Dude, the devil's gonna burn you on earth before you even get to hell. You gotta walk around with the smell of sulfur pouring up off your fucking feet. Like, what in the fuck? Does the grass burn when you step on it? What? Did you ask to become governor at a crossroads outside of town on a dirt road somewhere when the fucking moon was high and red? What in the fuck is wrong with this guy? I'm beyond. I knew that sort of kind of happened. I was guessing in other ways, but like now we got like, are you? What is the excuse? What's the reason? Any last words? I mean, at this point, what in the fuck? Thank God the story before this is, bro, there's black people exercising their fucking open carry, and they have a pretty solid arsenal, including body armor in one part of the country. And it's the part that you used to have to run to, established by the people who ran there. That's one story I covered today. And then on the other hand, I guess we're getting the band back together in fucking old Kentuck. I don't want to dwell on it. I'm sorry. I know this isn't mine. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to stick with it for too long, but fuck me. Back in Kentucky for a time this month, Jonah said he's still trying to figure out where he wants to live and work as an adult. Jonah in Post said the protective order and the upcoming court hearing are the first steps towards accountability. Post said she followed a police report alleging abandonment of a minor, a Class D felony. A copy was not available Monday, but the action or inaction of abandonment during his childhood years, she said, could set the table for grounds to be able to say that there could be criminal charges. I hope he is fucking... Every fucking finger should point at him. He should feel like Claude Frollo when he's fucking got to face all those goddamn... the eyes of Notre Dame. The protective order was filed against Matt Bevin due to the nature of the threats, abandonment, and neglect, as very well it should, the court filing said, with reasonable cause to believe that further harm may occur without it. It was signed Friday by Jefferson Family Court Judge Angela Johnson with a requirement that the ex-governor surrender any firearms in his possession until after a scheduled court hearing on March 19th. If this dude takes a shot at that kid, I'm fucking going up there. I don't know what the fucking... I shouldn't say that on... I shouldn't say it on video. Someone's got to beat me there. Are you out of your fucking mind? They're taking his guns. That's how serious. The judge said, "Yeah, we'll take the guns." You're taking someone's guns in Kentucky. Also, guns. Bevin's up there plural. He's like from Massachusetts or something. Rhode Island ass soft fingers. Fuck, he's strapped up. I guess he start now that the kid's gone. He can store the guns in the small house again, out in the little house out there across the yard. Jonah's next chapter hasn't been written yet, but he wants stability and a chance to help other kids. I wish all the best for this kid. I see myself starting some sort of an organization for myself and other people. He said, the best way I could help is by using my light and covering them in my story too. You ain't got to do that. You don't have to. I don't know if you'll ever read this. I don't know. There's probably not a whole lot of people talking about you. I'm sorry, man. If you feel like I'm exaggerating or not taking your story seriously, like reach out to me. I'll fucking delete the video in a heartbeat. I don't give a shit. People shouldn't have that done to them. People shouldn't live like that. People shouldn't live in fear like that. Children shouldn't have that happen to them. Anywhere. I take shit with kids seriously. I know people think that I don't because they're fucking morons, but I very much do. That's why I know about it before I talk about it. And that's about as dark as it gets. That's fucked up. All around. I don't know. Kid, if you ever watch this, Jonah, young man, sir, I wish all the best for you. You want this video gone? I rarely will I offer to delete something like this if you feel like I didn't represent your story correctly. Like you deserve that at least. Fuck me. Goddamn. I'm sorry for all the cursing if you're not the kind of person that hears curses. I don't know what else to say. I'm going to make sure the GoFundMe is in this too. I don't give a shit. The thing I'll say though, if you're watching this, man, you don't have to do anything for anyone else. Do for you. All right. Get yourself good. You feel strong until the adrenaline runs off, right? You're in a fight right now, and it might not feel like that. And, I don't know you, but, like, just trust me. I know some things about some things. If you're in a fight right now, and I feel like you are, you'll feel stronger now than you will when it's finally time for you to rest. And when it's time for you to rest is the time you get to spend that money and that time. If you get to that point and you've rested and you're clear, then you can reach out to help others. But it might take a while. And so if you do win this, and you get a couple years of money, there's nothing wrong with spending a couple years getting your years back that you lost out there, having that shit happen. And if it comes time and you find that like helping people is what helps you help yourself, do it. Don't get in that way. But there is not a fucking thing wrong with being made whole and keeping yourself whole for you while you put your shit back together. All right, you don't have to share a bandage that barely covers up the wound. And no one reasonable is going to ask you of that, and it's not required. You don't have to feel guilty about surviving this. You don't have to. You will, maybe. Maybe you won't. I don't know. I feel guilty about surviving shit that I survived, and I put myself through stuff on purpose because I'm an idiot. You didn't deserve any of this. So understand you deserve every bit of grace and distance. If you win money, keep the money for yourself if you want, because that's yours. When the court awards you money, they award you money for you. You don't have to go give it up. You don't have to become a charity for everybody around you. Put yourself together, get yourself on a strong path, fix the oxygen mask to your face before you start trying to help everyone else, and make sure you're on both of your feet, and then take the next step. In my opinion, do whatever you want, man. I'm not going to fucking... You already had enough motherfuckers look like me try to lead your life for you, so go ahead, ignore me too if you want. I'll give you that in a heartbeat. Goddamn. Fuck.
Hope you enjoyed your time.